Dear friends, I am Abdullah Khan, Secretary, Saphalam 55 plus Pala. Saphalam 55 plus Pala begins here, an immensely novel program through our YouTube channel. It is a series of novel and unique presentations about some of the illustrious dramas of Shakespeare. The first one is on King Lear. Layman or scholar, academic or student, these presentations will go a long way in inculcating a neo-Shakespearean aptitude. We are indeed so lucky that these presentations are given by no less a Shakespeare specialist than Professor Augustine A Thomas. His linguistic and literary skills have already made him highly popular in university and collegiate circles. As a retired principal of Maharajas College, Ernakulam, they occupy an eminent position in cultural scenarios. Respected Augustine A Thomas sir begins the program.
This is a lecture series on Shakespearean tragedy. Totally, it takes 4 weekly sessions. Today, it is on King Lear. Next week on Othello. Week after next on Hamlet. And the last one on Macbeth. The general title is William Shakespeare, His 4 Great Tragedies and their impact on man's life today. Spectacular is the word used for referring to Shakespeare's 4 illustrious tragedies, namely King Lear, Othello, Hamlet, and Macbeth. What is the relevance and applicability of these stories on modern man's life? Fundamentally, man is the same everywhere and even across the centuries. And his feelings, emotions, and reactions are also synonymous. Through his great tragedies, the world-famous British playwright William Shakespeare seems to have reached the depths of man's existential reality. That is why the critic Dowden qualifies this phase of the dramatist as Shakespeare in the depths. Once you read through these dramas, you will also feel that man cannot go farther than this. Please note the exclamation of Carlyle. The Indian Empire will go at any rate someday, but this Shakespeare does not go. He lives forever with us. We cannot give up our Shakespeare. Why do they all consider him as the most cherished treasure of the British Isles? The answer to this question speaks of his universal appeal. Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, and Cleopatra are better known to most readers from Shakespeare's plays than from historians. Shakespeare's plays hold a mirror unto nature, be it his tragedies, festive comedies, history plays, Roman plays, or romances. He sees life as it is in its true nature and never tries to improve upon it. In short, his endeavor is neither to create models nor role models. Women characters like Rosalind, Viola, Portia, Miranda, and Juliet hold a positive charm for us, just as tragic heroines like Cordelia, Desdemona, Ophelia pose before us 1,001 questions for which we alone have to find out the answers. Shakespeare's towering tragic male heroes like Macbeth, Othello, Hamlet, King Lear, Julius Caesar, and Mark Antony put before us life in its quintessence and in its multiplicity. In Shakespearean tragedy, character is much more important than action. A.C. Bradley says thus: the center of the tragedy may be said to lie in action. What we feel strongly as a tragedy advances to its close is that the calamities and catastrophe follow inevitably from the deeds of men, and that main source of these deeds is character. The dictum that with Shakespeare character is destiny is no doubt an exaggeration, and one that may mislead, but it is the exaggeration of a vital truth. What are we witnessing today across the globe and in our immediate social circles too? What is happening to a large number of political leaders, religious mentors, and administrators? How much mess are they creating? Their personal actions on many occasions become so personal and so ill motivated that the whole society is made to suffer, or the progress of the countries is so much affected that they seem to distribute pessimism and cynicism only. We see mere anarchy being loosed upon the world, and the ceremony of innocence being drowned. Has not this become a daily aspect of our public life? Shakespearean tragedy, if studied sensitively, answers these questions in a satisfactory manner. Let us take King Lear first. King Lear is labeled as Shakespeare's supreme output. Let me quote a few lines from it. I am a man more sinned against than sinning. As flies to wanton boys are we to the gods, they kill us for their sport. How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. The problem with Lear is his extreme rashness and over-judgmental character. In spite of his being gem of a man, Lear has 3 daughters only: Goneril, Regan, and Cordelia. when he reaches the age of fourscore and upward, that is above 80, he decided to step down after dividing his kingdom equally among his three daughters. But there was a condition. Each one should speak out loudly her quantum of love towards him. Goneril and Regan used highly flattering words. The moderate Cordelia declared that she loved her father as a daughter is bound to do, and nothing more and nothing less. Lear was displeased. He commanded her to improve her words, but she stated that she could not use meaningless words because she meant what she said. The angered Lear banished her from the British kingdom and divided the country into two halves and gave one half to Goneril and the other to Regan. The King of France had identified the nobility of Cordelia, and he married her with absolutely no share and took her to France as a queen. Time passed. Goneril and Regan became weary of their father. They started purposefully creating one hurdle after another to avoid the aged king. At long last, he distinguished how much unwanted he had become. In a desperate mood, he goes away with his remaining train after cursing both daughters. But where shall Lear go? Into the open world, into the forest, into a heath. No house to stay. Two loyal lords, the Duke of Gloucester and the Earl of Kent, the fool and a few others committedly accompany him and serve him in his turmoils and tribulations. Lear feels like going mad. He experiences a hysterical uprising from his stomach and finds it difficult to control it. The more he thinks about the ingratitude of his two pelican daughters and his misjudgment, indignation and remorse, guilt and self-pity together take hold of him. A big storm erupted, and along with it lightning, thunder and rainfall, and the whole group is exposed to it. They don't have any shelter. To the fool who in his own way, with jests and wits, is trying to cheer him up, Lear says thus, "But this heart shall break into 1,000 flaws, or ere I will weep, O fool, I shall go mad." In fact, Lear's wits had begun to turn. He felt cold himself and went mad. This scene of Lear going mad is perhaps a very rare picturing, the like of which is scarcely available anywhere else in world literature. He starts to ponder over the miseries and burdens of thousands of his subjects who had no house of their own. How terrific is the sufferings in the world! In fact, whatever happened to him so far becomes the source of a new learning for King Lear. In the meantime, there are conspiracies to take the lives of Lear and also of Gloucester. Edmund, the bastard son of Gloucester, mercilessly put out both eyes of his father. The blinded and bleeding Gloucester rejoins Lear. Lear, although mad, distinguishes that just for following him, Gloucester is blinded. Lear asks him whether he sees now. Gloucester's reply to this question is typical of the drama. He says, "Now I see feelingly." Yes, there is such a scene for which outward eyes are not needed. Now there is a new development. The King of France reaches England with a big army. Cordelia is there in the group. Their purpose is to take revenge upon those who had caused the downfall of Lear. Prior to it, they are searching for Lear. Near Dover, Cordelia could meet her father, but he was seen fast asleep in a background suffused with a play of music. Lear is roused by Cordelia. The awakening Lear exclaims thus, "You do me wrong to take me out of the grave. Thou art a soul in bliss, but I am bound upon a wheel of fire, that mine own tears do scald like molten lead." The angelic Cordelia begs Lear to look upon her and hold his hand in benediction over her. At this stage, the father stands and kneels before the daughter in a mood of asking her pardon. In Act 5, Scene 3, we see the spectacle of the British forces, mainly led by Edmund, winning the war. Lear and Cordelia are taken prisoners. There was going on a contest between Goneril and Regan, for both had privately loved Edmund, and each wanted to possess him. More conspiracies happen, and both Regan and Goneril die of poisoning. Edgar picks up a fight with Edmund, and Edmund is critically wounded. Earlier, this Edmund had plotted to arrange the murder of Lear and Cordelia, who were in custody. In this attempt, Cordelia dies. At this point, Lear enters with Cordelia dead in his arms. Lear exclaims thus, "Howl, howl, howl! Oh, you are men of stones! Had I your tongues and eyes, I would use them so that heaven's vault should crack. She is gone forever." An officer enters and announces the death of Edmund. Hearing all this, Lear makes a final utterance thus, "And my poor fool is hanged. No, no, no life. Pray you, undo this button." "Thank you, sir. Do you see this? Look on her. Look, her lips. Look there. Look there." With such a fond hope, Lear falls down and dies instantly. Thus, King Lear's education is complete. And his redemption also happened in the meantime. King Lear is a drama about deschooling and unlearning. The mighty Lear, shedding all his rashness and becoming a perfect human being full of compassion, is something which deeply moves the reader. And Cordelia's sacrificial purity is a thing which touches and moves us to reach nobler heights in life. Thank you.